We're here with Dave on the Cure 50,
Cure 55.
Cure 55, Australian built boat.
Yep.
Big fan of Australian builders, mate. We've got to see more of it. It's just it's awesome to see. Give us some story behind Cure. How did it just sort of evolve?
So Cure's been around for 15, 16 years. Ian McMahon and myself co-founded this business a while ago, and we've been building one-off sort of big cats and a few race boats. But been pretty involved in building lightweight cruising cats in Australia. Last boat we put out the door was a full carbon 70. But it's sort of been our mission and my mission, sort of have this dream about wanting to take my family around the world on a 55, and you know what the current market calls a high performance cruising cat, and what's sort of available out there, I think is, there's lots of options, but none really to what we believe is a high performance cruising cat that's safe and reliable and light, and actually does genuinely sail well. So this was our dream that teams pulled together. Bunch of awesome boat builders and stuff in our team now, and we got a bunch of other manufacturing businesses that allow us to probably invest in a lot more technology than if we had just stayed in the boat building lane. So we got a heap of tech that we use to build these boats, and it's been a pleasure watching a team and an engineering department all dream up a bunch of stuff to produce what you're looking at today. And it's an absolute credit to the team, because for myself, to acknowledge they've done an awesome job.
The obvious thing with cats is they are just a huge volume. They're massive, lots of space. But I can see, it's really easy to see that the build quality here is next level, and it doesn't take much to cast your eye around to see that build quality is there. The other thing, let's talk about performance. You're telling me it was like 11 tons, 11 and a half.
Yeah, so it's a
dry weight.
11 ton dry weight, and I will say there's a lot packed into that 11 ton. Massive off-grid systems for the power. There's concentrated heavily on lightweight interiors, but still a lot of luxury to it. We got powered winches, we got bow thrusters. Like we got a lot of gear on this boat.
So no need to set foot on land for as long as you like, pretty much.
No. Yep.
Yeah, cool. I've noticed also the cockpit is really well set out. You've got obviously twin helms for most cats, but you're not doing this sort of bridge thing on one side. It's a dedicated helm either side of them on each hull, and really easy to single hand. I'm a fair weather sailor, mate. I'm not an open ocean sailor. I'm an open ocean motorboater, but fair weather sailor.
Yep.
As I mentioned before, the way we, help people find boats is that 5 key things, which is the lifestyle expectation, what they're hoping to achieve, the area of operation, which if you've done serious sea miles is critical, how easy it is to use, the time they've got in which to use it, and then their budget. So we don't need to talk numbers and all that sort of stuff, but I know you're competitive with everything else that's out there, but there's performance and then there's this sort of stuff. This is next level, I can see. So from that, with that sort of filter, who does this boat really cater for? Who's like, if you could sort of think of 3 or 4 archetypes of people, what would they?
Oh, look, I think it's a practical sailor. We're all sailors. We're very passionate about sailing. One, high performance, just because that's the thing that puts the smile on your face. But safety. We're all conscious that people taking their loved ones around the world on a boat like this, and safety and the connection between safety and sail handling, and how you can handle this boat and not get in trouble. So there's it's a fairly simplistic boat, but we are definitely, this is a niche sector. 55-foot boats, around $4 to $5 million. Not everyone's out looking for them. There's a lot of people out dreaming to be sailing a boat around this world, but it is still a niche market, and it's a practical adventurer who's into sailing and is looking for a boat that has a large amount of reliability. We're not interested in putting components on this boat that we don't know, don't trust, or have probably pretty key connection with that supply chain that we know that we can really stand behind. So
and you can get stuff to people in need. Like if there's something gone wrong, you can send that item off and you can give them instructions on how to replace that stuff. So I'm guessing not a lot of digital switching.
There's digital switching. I mean, we're in C-zone, but we're not going over the top. We just don't find that any of our customers want the over the top. They just want pretty simple. They want the information. They want a light switch to turn the light on.
less things that can go wrong.
less things that can go wrong.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause
Simple and
you know,
clean.
miles from anywhere. Yeah, you've got to rely on your kit. So when you say high performance, what's your sort of like? What's the thrill? What's the thrill in this?
Oh, look, I think, I've had 3 good sails on this boat now. We've been sailing off Mooloolaba. One particular day I was out there, 1.5 to 2 metre ground swell, 18 knots.
Nice.
And I'm a mainsail. I'm a 0 out the front. A couple of crew on board, but doing nothing. And I'm just surfing down waves. Anywhere from that 15 to 22 knots, and just sailing this thing like we'd be sailing a dinghy.
Yeah.
And that just puts a smile on your face. It's a big bus to drive at those speeds.
It is. But that's the thing, and that's where confidence comes in, and boating instruction and that sort of thing. My specialty is teaching people how not to crash park in the marina.
Yep.
Right, getting the boat in and out of the pen, which I've found is the single biggest limiting factor for a lot of people using their boats.
Yep.
So if someone came and worked with you and putting these, they're reasonably bespoke, they're reasonably ordered to build. Yeah.
Yep.
Then I'm guessing you take the time to show them actually how to use it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in some of the other market sectors we're in, we learnt early that there's a bunch of education that's got to come with product like this. It's beneficial to the customer, it's beneficial to the company. If you know how to use something, there's possibly going to be less issues going on, and it's the confidence in the user with these boats. Whether it's the husband or the wife driving the want for something like this, that person's got to be able to show confidence that, hey, I'm going to take you out in the ocean and trust me, we got this.
Yeah, okay.
And that just comes from knowledge and use and hours.
Yep.
But it's key to anyone who, whether it's you want something like this for a weekend or you think you're going to sail around the world, you've got to invest in the knowledge to understand what you got.
Yeah, okay. And you can support these vessels wherever they are in the world?
Look, that's absolutely our intent, We're not going to dance around. We're a smallish company in Australia that, is selling these to a global market. But hence why we're being very cautious about what equipment we put on this boat.
Yeah.
We're not signing up to stuff that we don't know about, or as I said, we don't have the faith that we can support it. So, this is a bunch of systems on this boat that there's nothing brand new. There's nothing out of the box new technology.
It's all tried and true stuff.
This is tried and true. We've been doing it this way for a long time. The electrical systems, Harkin, Hallspar, North Sails.
Yeah.
We're just using the good stuff and the stuff that we know is proven.
It's going to keep up to what you're doing, and there's a lot of load in this. 18 knots. I'm thinking that's pretty loaded up, mate.
It is, and to that point, we've got load cells built into this boat. The boat's talking back to you. What are you doing? Where's your loads at? Settle it down. Heat it up. So it's just those snippets of technology that bring safety into it, and it's just baseline technology in 2025. It's a pretty awesome time to be.
We're obviously talking to a man who listens to his boats, because I think that boats are the one things as humans that we build that take on a soul of their own.
Yep.
And that's the thing. If you've got a boat that communicates to you and you understand that, and if you can work with someone at that level who can get you from building the boat to actually understanding the language of a boat, that's a massive advantage in this space. So I think, I'm just looking around and I can see the Harkin winches. They're massive. There's nothing here that's just on, just on spec. It's on spec plus. So that's really good. But mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really wish you luck with this product. I think it's just great, and it looks very clean and extremely well turned out and well built.
Thanks for coming and having a look.
Champion.
Cheers.
All right, speak soon.